Hi, I'm Jeff Tucker, Principal Economist at Windermere Real Estate, and this is a local look at the June 2025 Northwest MLS market stats. All right, so last month I highlighted the year-over-year decline in closed sales in May as fallout from the stock market dip and economic turmoil from April ran through the housing market. Now, I'm happy to share that, like the stock market, the housing market has rebounded after that speed bump in May. Closed residential sales across the whole Northwest MLS in June were almost exactly the same as their year ago level. And pending sales of single family homes climbed 3% year over year. Now, on the supply side, about 12% more new listings hit the market this June than last, and the tally of active listings ended the month 37% higher than June 2024's inventory. That is a lot more inventory, but the pace of year over year growth is slightly slower than the 39% we saw last month. Finally, the median price for closed single family home sales actually climbed 3% from last year to $695,000 now. That reverses the 1% decline in May and actually sets a new high watermark for the year, above the $680,000 sale price in April. So, putting it all together, buyers around Washington came back to the table in June after kind of stepping away in May, and that helped to drive more sales and higher prices. Now, looking ahead, the high level of inventory we've got on the market at the midpoint of the year suggests that buyers are going to gain more negotiating power as the summer goes on. Now we'll dig into some details for the four counties encompassing the greater Seattle area. Here, residential closed sales dipped by just 0.5% from the same month last year. That's actually thanks to a 3% gain in King County, which mostly offset some small declines in the other counties. Now, that gain for King County was especially notable after it had posted a whopping 14% year over year decline in May. So that really suggests some of those buyers got back into the market after pressing pause earlier this spring. So similarly, King County saw the biggest gain in median sale price, climbing 7% from a year ago, and it's now back over $1 million here. Kitsap and Pierce saw their prices climb 4% and 5%, while prices dipped 2% in Snohomish County. Now, looking ahead, pending sales returned to some modest year-over-year increases, totaling 3% across the region, led by 11% more in Pierce County and 4% more in King County, offset somewhat by declines of 4% in Kitsap and 5% in Snohomish County. Finally, on the supply side, the four-county greater Seattle area had almost 9,000 active listings at the end of June, or 40% more than the same time last year. Still, if that sounds dramatic, it is a smaller percentage gain than the 45% year-on-year growth in May, suggesting that this inventory buildup is decelerating. So all in all, this report confirmed that greater Seattle region buyers came back to the table in June, not in huge numbers, but more like a return to the new normal of sales activity after many buyers had pressed pause in April. Now, the usual seasonal cooldown in demand is likely to begin just as summer heats up. That will help swing the pendulum in favor of the buyers who keep house hunting into the second half of the year. And I expect that higher inventory will also start to put some competitive pressure on sellers who haven't yet gotten an offer. All right, that is all I've got for this local look at the June 2025 data. Thank you for watching.